another episode of Throwing It Back with Sean Farrell. Excuse me, I am Sean Farrell. God is great all the time. All the time, God is great. Jesus Christ is Lord. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Amen. So, I mentioned the other day how old school NBA is New Jack City, okay? And today's NBA is like the movie Geely. Terrible. Okay? So I came across this morning. J Armstrong, all-star guard for the Chicago Bulls. That's right, all-star guard. He made the all-star team in 1994. Okay? As a matter of fact, the Knicks and the Bulls made up half of that all-star roster because Oakley, Starks, and Ewing went to the all-star game that year. Then Grant, Pippen, and Armstrong went to the all-star game that year. So the Knicks and Bulls made up half of that all-star roster. Okay? So, J Armstrong said this. He says, players in today's NBA lack creativity because all they want to do is shoot threes, hunt fouls, and only take layups. When I go to watch the game, there's no more creativity. There's no more imagination. It's just that we have basically robots running up and down the court. You run to the three-point line. I run to the three-point line. First, I try to get a layup. If I can't get a layup, I try to get fouled. That was J Armstrong on today's game. And this is why so many of you all gravitate towards old school basketball. People like me gravitate towards old school basketball. Okay? And J Armstrong just reinforces the point that NBA legends have been making, reinforces a point that I've been making, that old school NBA is New Jack City. You can't beat New Jack City basketball, okay? You can't beat New Jack City basketball. And J Armstrong is 100% right, okay? If you look at today's game, all they do is just stand around at the three-point line. Even centers don't get down to the block and bang. They're out at the three-point line. And nobody plays defense anymore. I think I mentioned this the other day where Luka. Yeah, I did mention that. Yeah, I did mention that because I talked about how does Jason Kidd put up with that lack of defensive effort from Luka. I can see how Jason Kidd put us up with that. Let's just say if Luka Doncic was in the New Jack City era, Don Nelson, who used to coach the Mavericks, Don Nelson would have met him at half court. Don Nelson would have met him at a half court. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, J Armstrong just reinforces a point that today's NBA is Geely. And another point of that is the NBA All-Star Game, okay? They changed the NBA All-Star Game again, okay? They changed it again. They changed the NBA All-Star Game over again. They changed the format. And I think it brings up a glaring point that it needs to be made. David Stern knew what he was doing. Adam Silver does not know what he's doing. David Stern knew what he was doing. Adam Silver does not know what he's doing. Okay? Stern ruled with an iron fist. You ask players, people who covered the game, broadcasters, they would tell you David Stern ruled with an iron fist. David Stern knew what he was doing. And Um, I loved it when he came in with the dress code. Okay, I loved it when he came in with the dress code. Hey, you are professional athletes. You should look like pros. Okay. I can remember one game where the Sixers were playing the Pistons one day, and I saw the way, and Chris Ford, who was a interim coach, Chris Ford, who was the, and I believe Chris Ford was an interim coach of the Philadelphia 76ers for a short time in 2004. Basically, what he did was he refused to play Allen Iverson because Allen Iverson wouldn't follow rules. So he benched Allen Iverson, and Iverson was inactive. And Iverson sitting down at the end of the bench in street clothes, wearing sunglasses with his hat turned this way or whatnot. Okay. And but again, David Stern knew what he was doing. Adam Silver does not know what he's doing. There was a time where players actually competed in the All-Star game. Okay. They competed in the All-Star game. And yeah, the games would be high scoring. But if the East defeated the West by a score of 122 to 118, that wasn't unusual. That wasn't unusual. Okay. Yes, there was a high scoring, but the players actually competed. Now, the NBA product is so in the toilet today that they have to change the All-Star game format. And it shows you that players don't compete, or they don't want to compete. And they don't put in the work, they don't put in the effort. And yeah. NBA basketball today, G League. Terrible, unwatchable, painful to watch. Ugly basketball, boring basketball, stupid basketball. Anyway, so I want to make that point. So I saw all this a while ago. So Stone Cold Steve Austin, who's one of my favorites in the WWE Attitude Era, he's one of my favorites. There was a guy who asked Stone Cold Steve Austin, "Who do you like as your GOAT?" Stone Cold Steve Austin was doing this podcast, and a person asked, "Who do you have as your GOAT, Jordan or LeBron?" Okay, and so Stone Cold made a valid point. He made one valid point, but he made two valid points really. The first valid point he made was you can't go wrong with either one of them, LeBron or Jordan. Okay, that's a valid point. That's a pretty valid point. But the second point he made overshadowed his first point. He said, you really can't go wrong with LeBron or Jordan. But for me, it's Jordan. Now, when you got Stone Cold Steve Austin saying Michael Jordan is the best of all time, come on, man. Come on. You know when Stone Cold Steve Austin is saying Michael Jordan is the GOAT. Come on, man. Come on. Can't go wrong with that. It's been over. The GOAT debate has been over. The GOAT, actually, when Michael retired when Michael retired for good in 2003, the GOAT debate was over. But when he retired in 1998, the GOAT debate was over. And now you see all these bitter people, Isaiah, like Isaiah. I still can't get over the fact that Isaiah said the Bulls would have won at least two championships with who coaching Pippen. I still can't get over the fact that Isaiah said that. I still can't go to the fact that Isaiah said that, okay? Oh, Lord have mercy. And so yeah, I said this before. MJ is the GOAT because he doesn't consider himself the GOAT. MJ is the GOAT because he doesn't consider himself the GOAT. He said it would be a disrespect to everybody who came before him. Okay? And so, when you got Stone Cold Steve Austin, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, saying that Michael is the GOAT. And let me just say this. It doesn't matter how much overtime LeBron works to convince us, the media, that he's the GOAT. It doesn't matter how much overtime Isaiah works to convince everybody that LeBron is the GOAT. Okay? So, here's a little bit of advice for Isaiah and LeBron. Stop it. Stop working overtime. Michael is 1. LeBron James is 10. Okay? Michael is 1. LeBron James is 10. LeBron James is a pretty good player, okay? Great player, no doubt. No doubt. But this is the same idiot who voted for Kamala Harris. This is the same brother who endorsed Kamala Harris for president, okay? Come on now. Come on now. But yeah. Stone Cold Steve Austin saying Michael is the GOAT. Yeah. Yeah. I was going to say something else, but while I was making my point about Stone Cold and Michael, it slipped my mind. Oh, man. What was I going to talk about? I was about to say something else, man. Damn. Now, see, when this video is done, it's probably going to come right back to me. Watch. Because now I don't remember what I was going to say. Hey, next. Damn. I hate that I lost my train of thought while I was making that point. Oh, well. Happens. So, let me move on to my secondary point I was going to make. And maybe my original point will come back. So, Jack Ramsey didn't like to play rookies, okay? As I said in the other video the other day, Clyde Drexler only averaged 17 minutes per game his rookie year and only averaged about 7.5 points per game. But then his second year, that's when he became Clyde, more than doubling his average to 15 points per game, okay? And so, if you look at the roster Portland had, they had the Handaway, Drexler, incoming Sam Bowie, Jim Paxson, and rookie Jerome Hersey. So they have scorers on that team. Which I say that Michael was the perfect fit for Chicago. He was perfect for Chicago. Because look up and down Chicago's roster. Who do they have? Orlando Woolridge, David Greenwood, Charles Jones, Wes Matthews, Quentin DeHaley. Who did they have? Nobody. Now, Quentin Daly was a good player, but Quentin Daly had issues. Orlando Woolridge had issues. Okay. Um, and I think it's just unfortunate that because I read Michael Jordan's book, The Life, and it was written in there that both Orlando Woolridge and Quentin Daly were following sad trails to a early grave. Okay. In other words, drug use. But Michael was the perfect fit for Chicago because Chicago really didn't have anybody. Really didn't have anybody. They had nobody. Okay. And I remember Chick Hearns saying, who were the Chicago Bulls before they got Michael Jordan? They were more like the Chicago Cows. Chick Hearns has a way with words, doesn't he? He said the Bulls were known as the Chicago Cows before Michael Jordan got there. That's why I say Michael was the perfect fit for Chicago. Because from day one, he was the man. He had the ball in his hands. And since Chicago had nobody, he was perfect for Chicago. He was absolutely perfect for Chicago. Because Drexler was great. Hakeem was great. Sam Bowie, injury prone. That's why I say Chicago was perfect, because he was the man from day one. And he was the man that allowed him to become the man, the GOAT. Okay? That's why I say Chicago was 100% perfect for Michael Jordan. Because he was the man. He could come in and he could score right away. The ball was going to be in his hands virtually 100% of the time. And he would get a chance to play right away. That's the big thing right there. He was going to get a chance to play right away. So if he went here to Portland, he was going to be stuck behind Kiki Vandeweghe, Clyde Drexler, and Jim Paxson. Okay. So he was going to be stuck behind those three scorers right there. So Chicago was perfect for Michael Jordan. All right. That's it. And that's all for Throwing It Back with Sean Farrell. My point I was going to make earlier skipped my mind, so it'll probably come back to me when I'm done. All right, y'all. That's how. Peace out. God bless.